All right, these are live images from the Velodrome Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja, the venue of the PDP presidential primary. Now, if any political party is new to presidential primaries, it's not the People's Democratic Party. This is the 7th outing it will be engaging in since its formation in 1998. Now, all the candidates elected at the primaries before 2015 went ahead to become president. So, the big question on the minds of most members of the party is, have we done enough to ensure that whoever will emerge as the candidate today can win the election next year? These are the things on the minds and all of the debates going on. Now, we welcome you to our coverage of the presidential primary elections holding at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. 811 delegates from all over the country will tonight decide who will fly the flag of the PDP during next year's presidential election. Our team of reporters are out there already, and in a moment we'll be joining them to bring up to speed to what has happened so far and where the event is headed. Now, first, let you meet those who will help us dissect the issues as we progress. We have in the studio here Dr. Adetokunbo Pearce, a chieftain of the PDP in Lagos. It's nice to have you join me.
Good to be here.
Great, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Great. And we also have political analyst Yemi Saka. He's also here with us in the studio. Nice to have you join me.
Good evening, Mike.
Welcome.
It's nice to be here.
Great.
Sorry for keeping you waiting.
It's all right. It's okay. We understand how everywhere is right now, so it's fine. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Now, of course, I'll bring in Ayo Zubako and Femi Akonde, who are out there to us, our correspondents who are there on the floor of the convention. They will let us know what's going on as we go in and out of the convention at Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja to bring you up to speed with what is going on. So this is how the discussion will be going today. We'll go to Abuja, come back to Lagos, go to Abuja, and come back to the studio. But before we go to Ayo Zubako and Femi Akonde, let me engage my guests in the studio, and certainly I will start with Dr. Pearce in here. Now, the point there is, that question I asked earlier on, looking at what is going on, is the PDP ready? Is your party ready for the elections, really?
I believe that the party is ready.
Okay.
We have had a number of engagements leading to this national convention, and they have been very coordinated, very seamless, very organized. And so I think that the party is ready in terms of the technicalities of bringing out a presidential candidate. We have gone, the various aspirants have been all over the country talking to people. And so I think we're ready. We're ready. Okay.
Now, in a situation where some presidential aspirants are withdrawing their aspiration, not because they are saying, okay, I am giving off my aspiration in support of this person, but because they are not satisfied or not happy with some things. What does that tell?
Yeah, I probably want to take it from where Chief left off. PDP is ready as a political party. PDP has been in power, was in power for a while, and it's a party that has structure across the country. So when it comes to electioneering, PDP is ready. The question I probably want to ask myself is PDP ready to take over power? Is PDP ready? Was PDP ever ready as an opposition? And is PDP ready to be a strong contender and a strong opposition in this next election? My personal opinion, no. And a lot of reasons. We probably could have had a seamless exercise, because I don't know why PDP decide not to microzone. So some of us that have seen what has been happening since 1999, when the return of democracy to Nigeria, one would expect PDP to microzone the presidency to Southeast. If there's any region that deserves the presidency in PDP, it should be the Southeast. And if PDP had done that, the space would have been, smaller, narrowed, and, we won't have these allegations and counter-allegations going back and forth. But for the man that we drew from the PDP, Peter Obi, I'm quick to tell people that Peter Obi, a fantastic man, a gentleman, a good administrator, public servant, based on his record in Anambra State. But in PDP, Peter Obi, and that's the blunt truth, doesn't have the clout to get the tickets in PDP?
That's a big question that even if we have the opportunity for people to call in, it's going to generate a lot of debate.
But that's the truth.
But it's a good one. We'll come back to this. Let's look at some of these issues. Dr. Pearce, the delegates we have right now have been cut because of the president's inability to sign the...
Not inability.
Okay.
It's failure to sign.
Or failure.
If you say inability, that means he cannot sign.
Okay.
I'm sure he still can write,
okay.
right? So he can sign.
All right. Putting it in context, I agree with that. Now, is this better or is this worse for the system, considering the fact that, on one hand, if you have too many people, it impacts the way decision is made. But if you have less people, it also reduces the plurality and the number of people who should be involved. What do you make of this?
Well, it's a shame that we had to come to this. I'll tell you what the technical complications have been. All of us campaigning for various offices in the last 1 year, I've been campaigning to the traditional delegates, that is the statutory 5 from each ward, the LGA delegates. These are people who have evolved through the process of Ward Congress, LGA Congress, State Congress, So that's what these delegates, these aspirants have been campaigning to, you understand me? All of a sudden, a few weeks from April, actually, like the second week in April to now, you are now confronted with a new law.
Sorry, we're just seeing the arrival of Nyesom Wike there, the governor of Rivers State, and he is one of the aspirants or contenders or contestants for the presidential race for the PDP. And his coming in seemed to be drawing a lot of attention in there at the venue of the convention center. A lot of people trying to cheer him up, and I believe as aspirants come in, people are going to react, accordingly based on their support for whoever they want at the convention center. All right.
Former Vice President, His Excellency Senator Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, former Governor of Kwara State and former Senate President, Right Honorable Aminu Tambua, Commander of the Federal Republic, and former Speaker, House of Representatives, Governor of Sokoto State, and Chairman, PDP Governors Forum. Senator Ayim Payosain, Grand Commander of the Order of Niger, former Senate President, former Secretary to the Government of the Federation. His Excellency, Mr. Udom Emmanuel, Governor of Akwa Ibom State.
Now, those are protocols being observed there at the convention center, and as more people and aspirants and more delegates come in, I believe as at now, all delegates would have been seated, but certainly the protocols to commence some of the parts of the convention is there being observed as a way of moving on with, yes, you were making a point regarding the delegates.
Well, this is the reality of the situation that many aspirants, all the aspirants were campaigning to the traditional group of delegates. Now, all of a sudden, a few weeks before election, they have now to depend on the goodwill of the leaders of each state who have been involved in bringing out who will now be the one person from each local government. It's a difficult thing. Right now, you don't know. Before, when we have this kind of elections, we usually have an idea who is likely to win. To tell you the truth, as it is now, I'm not sure that we know, because the delegates, most of the delegates may not even be known to the aspirants. Okay. So that's what's going on. It's not an easy process.
Okay. Yemi, I'll come to you shortly, but let's join Femi Akonde, our correspondent there too, who has some up to speed to bring us up to. Femi, it's good to have you join us right now. Talk to us what is going on there where you are. Femi Akonde, if you can hear me, bring us up to speed with what you have, where you are. Okay, maybe Femi is not ready yet. We'll certainly join him. He's standing by to bring us up to speed with developments there. Now, Yemi, the issue of statutory delegates. A lot of people see it as usually giving undue advantage to governors and all of those persons who wield some level of influence over them. And now they are not in the picture. How well off or better off is this system?
Well, for every democracy, the best form of democracy is representative democracy. And I don't see how anyone can convince me having 811 delegates across the Federation is good enough for representative democracy.
Sorry, that's what everybody feels.
It wasn't boxed in the corner.
Now, but before we went to Femi, we were talking about the issue of the way delegates. Things are now, taking out statutory, or when the statutory delegates were on, and they give undue advantage to governors and some other persons.
Well, even with this contest as it is right now, it's going to give undue advantage to some people. Some people will benefit more from a system or circumstance and while others will not. You see, for me, like I was saying, it's a representative democracy. 810 people out of a political party that has an estimated members of a membership base of almost 15-20 million. It's not a fair deal or a fair ratio. How do you expect 810 people to represent the true value or values of any democratic party? It's just so disheartening that the National Assembly brought this upon us. I don't want to use some caustic words. And you ask yourselves, moving forward, how do we avert this thing? How do we, go away from it? I think the Constitution has empowered INEC to determine the conduct of elections. The Constitution has given the political parties how to, the process, how to probably organize or come up with the process of internal democracy, and INEC have the supervisory role. So I think the members of the National Assembly moving forward, we're looking at the 10th Assembly to come up with laws that will deepen our democratic cultures and values. We shouldn't find, this is an aberration to politics or democracy, representative democracy. 810 people bringing forward, nominating who almost 150 million Nigerians have to either queue behind or, vote against. It's unfair. It's unfair, it's ridiculous. I don't think this is what should be encouraged. And I don't think the National Assembly should be praised for boxing us into this corner.
Well, Dr. Pearce, that's what it looks like, actually. Because the point there is, the moment these 811 people decide who becomes the presidential candidate, and that candidate goes ahead to win the election, then it means the entire 200 million people, as it were,
their fate and
destiny was decided by just 811 people.
The National Assembly itself realized it made a mistake, and they're trying to correct it. That's why they sent this amendment to the president, but it's a little too late. It was a big error. I think you saw what President Jonathan said recently. The analysis he gave is incredible. As a local government, you're running for assembly. There are 2 wards in the local government. 4 people are running for the position. So 3 per ward, so 6 people. It will determine who becomes the member of assembly in that state. It's ridiculous. That's the point you were making, that it's not representative democracy.
It's an aberration.
Again, it was an error. Unfortunately, there was no time to correct the error. The president, if he had signed this amendment, he would have corrected the error. But you're right, too, that even what we have now, it has narrowed the number of people who actually will influence election in a way that it could be disastrous. Look, I can tell you from practical experience, it is frightening. But Jonathan's example is a good one. happening everywhere. People who are representing my own local government, for instance, in this National Assembly, is somebody that under normal circumstances will not be anywhere near position to make decision for the party. Nowhere near. If we had proper democratic process that leads to it. You see what's been happening now? You know how we evolve the delegates? World Congress, that is direct primaries of the party. Every member of the party votes for who becomes the statutory delegate from their ward. That is democracy. That's how we do it in the PDP. You start from there. So when you become a delegate, this one of the 5 statutory, you are now being elected by the whole party, the whole party, direct primaries. Now we go for the LGA officers, 17 in one local government. I take my own example, my own local government, Lagos Mainland. We have 11 wards. 5 people will emerge from the direct primaries and will be elected ward delegates. 5 statutory, 55. They will now go and do the LGA local government area election to elect 17 delegates. That's how it goes. Those 17 now, plus the 55, are the ones that will now go and elect the state officers. Anybody running for state office, they are the ones now going to do the election, all of them. And after that, what we normally have is LGA chairmen, who, by the way, didn't even know what happened with these statutory delegates in many cases. The governor still has control over these delegates. Where you have governors. Where you don't have governors, you have a disaster. You have proper problems. Some power brokers who you don't even know hijack the system, and these ad hoc delegates will come up. So, there's a lot of work to do.
It is better for the governors to be in charge. Is that what you're saying?
No. You see...
sorry to Button. The existing process did not give the governors or did not mandate the governors to be in charge. It was just the governors seizing the initiative to be in charge. But it was still good for democracy because it had larger representation.
The ward delegates were not chosen by the governors. Yeah. So therefore, as you said, they were not really in charge. The problem with the governors is, by our constitution, governors have too much influence, too much money to play around. That's what's going. So there's a lot to be done to clean up our system. It is not just these ad hoc solutions, these simplistic solutions. That's why we are in this situation now, where the National Assembly think they can just do, and now they have some amendment they want the president to sign. How are we sure they haven't made more mistakes on the same situation? So we need to give it a lot of thought. A lot of thought. You know who emerges as a delegate in the United States system? By the way, even now, we have some. In some local government areas, I can tell you the people that emerge as delegates are people who should emerge. Because a delegate should not be somebody that you can pay, you can buy. A delegate should be a leader.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, well, let me tell you how. I worked and lived in the U.S. for 20 years in the political system. All you do is make sure that the people who emerge as delegates...
Just to interrupt you a little bit, on the floor of the convention, we have former President Adetokunbo Pearce, who is also...
Former Vice President.
Former Vice President, sorry. Former Vice President Adetokunbo Pearce, who is also an aspirant right now, is entering the convention center.
From the seat of power has taught us some very critical lessons. The message from our publicity department has been succinct, penetrating, and very convincing. I thank the National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologuagba, and his technical team, led by Admin Chinwen Norom.
All right. The former Vice President, Adetokunbo Pearce, just got in there, and we're expecting more aspirants to come in. Like I said earlier, as they come in, of course, they go around to say hello to delegates, and then those who support them, you know, you will see reactions from
the same reaction to every contestant.
Sorry?
The same reaction from all the delegates.
Yeah, exactly. The same reaction from everyone. So it's a regular thing. You recall when Wiki came in, it was the same thing. As others coming, it's the same thing. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the role of money. The money debate in all of this. Dr. Pearce was talking earlier, and we said ideally.
Yeah, ideally.
We know what the ideals are, but in the political setting, there's no ideal anywhere.
Yeah, I remember there was an interview granted by former military president General Babangida retired, and he was asked about how to change things in the country, and he said we need to rework, or probably we need to redefine our value system or our reward system. If you have a good reward system, I don't think anybody going to such an event like this that knows the destiny and fate of 200 million Nigerians in injured on his activity or what he does, we want to probably monetize it or probably just throw it around the altar of money. But like I said, our national values has been eroded with some unheard of or unspeakable values, and I think we just need to appeal. And this is not me throwing darts at this present administration. National Intelligence Agency has been in slumber since 2015, because if they had been working, I think, while they're appealing to the larger electorate of vote against vote buying and what have you, I guess such advocacy would still impact, or probably would have, had such effects or impact on delegates. And the feedback we're having is shameful. It's not. You look at the kind of leadership that will evolve from this, and you just tell yourself that is there hope for Nigeria? Whether we like it or not, the last 8 years, the experiment of the last eight years left a lot of us and still makes Nigeria desiring for more, better deal. And you now look at, okay, can you now vouch, or what should you expect from if a process fraught with so much monetization and cultured values and process? So do you want to look ahead and say the future is bright? No. I look at it and say the sky out there is cloudy, the future is bleak, maybe unless miracle, and God still does miracle regularly. So maybe with miracle, if somebody emerge from this, we can have good leadership. But when somebody spends so much, because I tell people everywhere across the world, politics is serious business. You spend money to get into office. Yes, it depends on how you want to spend the money. You spend the money for campaigns, for souvenirs and what have you. It's in our climb. It's so sad that you spend the money to get the delegates. You spend the money to buy the votes at the polling units. So there's always a return on investment for people that plow their funds to get into office. So if we don't de-escalate or probably reduce the import or the role of money in our politics, we'll always be having leadership that will just leave us as a nation to be yearning for a better deal. Okay.
Well, Dr. Pearce, the point there is, anywhere in the world, everybody knows that elections are expensive.
Very expensive.
Elections are, that would you just stamp it there. Elections are expensive. But the way that money rolls into the election process, of course, we can do without the way the money plays, especially when it comes to influence, from the buying of nomination forms or interest forms to the issue of influencing or swaying or wooing delegates and all of that. If we talk about reorientation, how will reorientation change that really? Is it a moral issue, or we have to go legal around it?
You have to go legal. I know that anywhere in the world, if you allow people to spend money to get votes, they will do it. If you allow people to accept the funds, they will do it. What you have in other climes is that if you are found to be giving people money for votes, you are arrested for it. This is what we need to do. There's nothing. I heard the former governor of Kwara saying it's left to the people. It's not left to the people. It's left to the lawmakers. We have to have a law against these things. And we have to understand the structure properly. What I said about a proper delegate is what you mentioned, that somebody who knows the implication, who understands why we have to elect a president who is qualified and interested, whose background check we have done to feel that this person is going to do well for the country. There are people like that. And I can tell you that in this, from Lagos State, in some local government areas, some people emerged as national delegates, and they're there now in Abuja, that understand this. You know, I tell you, I've been in many elections. Such people, you don't even give them money. You understand me? They're delegates. They don't ask you for money. You can't even give them money. Those are the types of people who we should, by law, make delegates. That's what I'm saying. So there are many things that we can do. There's nothing strange about this country. There's nothing strange. Look, things could be worse depending on how we allow it to go. This is the law. This country, the people are very peaceful in this country. I always tell people that if you allow people to do what they want to do in America, you have chaos more than you can imagine. It's law enforcement that keeps them down. We must have proper laws in place, you know. So now we have governors. They have so much power. There's no election that you can do that governors will not influence. I can tell you that. All these three ad hoc, whether they are 5, they are 10, they are going to be involved. And they're going to be the ones that control it, because the law has given them the opportunity to do so. So, whatever it is, once you say you cannot sell forms at any rate you want, you cannot do anything you want, this is where the law comes in. And we can change all of that.
And INEC is supposed to be the one drumming that, isn't it?
Look,
I can just come up with proposals to the National Assembly. It's
Okay.
up to the National
but
Assembly.
this is why
Okay.
people like me have been clamoring for restructuring the system. I tell you something about restructuring. One is that one of these aspirants, by the way, PDP has said it consistently, that if he becomes the president, he will not be the one to appoint the INEC chairman. They did that in Ghana. They changed the system in Ghana. Anybody, if the president is the one appointing the INEC chairman, then it's already compromised. That's the man that pays the piper.
And he has to dictate the
He
tune.
calls the tune. All of it, once you see that, you know that that's gone. INEC cannot be independent. INEC cannot be trusted to do the right thing for the people. So these are the things that must change before we can say we're moving forward in Nigeria. You know?
I think there's a need for us to have a
yes.
political bureau. I don't know, I'm thinking in my head, how do we do this? I think something fashioned like after what they have in China.
Okay.
It's a bit of appointments, it's a bit of, you have to go through a process. And I guess if we probably would not have that for our public officers or, aspirants, we probably could have that for delegates, where we have a political bureau where at every election, probably there might be...
They have it for aspirants in China.
They have for aspirants in China, but we might just want to come up with a peculiar solution.
We can
here.
start with...
we can just have a political bureau where we just have a pool of delegates here that are we can't say bipartisan because you can have multiple parties layout here, but let me just say maybe non-partisan, that when it comes to a primary of a political party, the way to look at it sets of parameters to weigh, measure them. If you're found one thing, you discard it, and they choose the best from each party. And it's, for me, from people might say that is not democracy.
It tells that everything we have are still just experimental. We're just trying to, let's try this. If it doesn't work, let's try something else. If it doesn't work, let's try.
So we get the one that will work for us, because like when people tell you that the American style of democracy, we copy is expensive for us, but we have to come with a little bit of tricking. Some people will tell you, we can even find a way to include traditional institution into the emergence of delegates. We can look at a process that will be unique to solve our problems, because whether we like it or I look at the the pool of contestants, and you can just, out of 30 in the space, you just at least pick 2 or 3 that can answer national questions and profile solutions. It's scary.
You mean delegates or
No, I'm talking about contestants.
Aspirants.
Aspirants. Because if you're not careful, the next 20 years, the rest of the world, especially Europe and the Latin America, will come to Nigeria for excursion to know what it means to be living in the 21st century, because they'll leave us behind.
All right. We just hope that. But the irony is that Nigeria has some of the best intellectuals, whether it's political or it's economic or whatever the thing is in philosophy, and
But
their consultants.
the space is not there for you to excel. It's
all right.